Hello, my dear students. I hope you revised what we studied in the last lecture. Yes, did you make notes for yourself? Were you able to recall the provisions? Hasn't it become very easy now? Yes? Okay, I can see you nodding. All right. And this will improve over time. You will get used to the method and then you will start, preparing your own notes. You will also be able to recall all the concepts properly. So trust me, let's study in the same manner. And today also, we will be discussing everything in a very simplified manner. I will be sharing a lot of notes with you. You can refer those notes one day before the exam. You can also convert that chart into sentence form, right? So without wasting any time, let's get started. In my previous session, I had discussed up till government company. Let us continue our discussion. Foreign company, section 2, clause 42. Section number is important and the definition is also important. First, let us write what is important, what we need to learn, okay, and on which parts questions are generally asked. So you need to learn the section number. Okay, so what is important? Section number, definition, and rule 2 of the specification of definition details 2014. Okay, specification of definition details 2014. Here they have explained the meaning of electronic mode. So this is important for us. So 3 things you need to know from foreign company. One is section number, section 2 clause 42. Say it along with me. Section 2 clause 42. Second thing that you need to know is the definition. You have to learn it as it is. Third thing that you need to learn is what is included in electronic mode. This you will have to learn as it is. Okay, here you please write down learn, because case-based questions are generally asked on this. The framing is case-based, but you're expected to write the theory. Now, whether a company is a foreign company or a domestic company is based on its classification, is based on the place of incorporation. So, whether a company is a foreign company or a domestic company, it depends on the place of incorporation. Okay, so the classification into domestic company and foreign company is based on the place of incorporation. So if the company is incorporated in India, then it is a domestic company. But if the company is incorporated outside India, then it is a foreign company. Ma'am, we understood this. We already know about it. That company which is incorporated outside India is a foreign company. But why are we studying that over here? What is the relevance of this definition, of this concept in the Companies Act 2013? Although this company is incorporated outside India, but it has a place of business in India. So if you're doing business in India, obviously the Indian Companies Act will apply, the Indian laws will apply. Facebook is incorporated outside India, but it is present in India through social media. So there are so many companies which are although incorporated outside India, but they are doing business in India. Indian laws will apply. Facebook cannot argue that no, this content is allowed to be viewed in my country of incorporation. It may be allowed over there, but it is not allowed in India. So for the business that you're doing in India, the Indian laws will apply. That is why we are studying this definition. Foreign company means a company or a body corporate. We will study the difference when we go to the preliminary chapter. It means a company or a body corporate which is incorporated outside India. Although it is incorporated outside India, but it has a place of business in India, either by itself or through an agent. So it may be present itself. It means we have a factory, we have a godown, we have a manufacturing unit. We have an outlet, or it may be present through an agent. You may be present either physically or electronically through electronic mode. So what is electronic mode? That is mentioned later. And it conducts business activity in India in any other manner. Okay, it conducts business activity. So you are not only present in India, but you are also doing some business activity in India. Okay, so what is the keyword over here? You conduct business activity in India. So these are my keywords. What are the keywords? You may be either a company or a body corporate incorporated outside India. So see how I break and learn. I may be a company or a body corporate incorporated outside India. Got it? It has a place of business in India. How? Either by itself or through agent. It may be present either physically or in electronic mode. And it conducts business activity in India in any other manner. So this is how you will break the definition and learn it. Because we have highlighted the keywords, it will be easy for you to memorize it. Domestic company, it is not a foreign company. Okay, that will not be asked in the exam. This is one very important question. Please highlight that you will go through this question one day before the exam. Okay, so please highlight this question as important. And you make some indication, okay, that this has to be gone through one day before the exam. So, one day before exam. Okay. So, make some indication that this needs to be studied. Okay. The best would be that you prepare a notebook. Okay. Or in your notebook only, dedicate the last page. And you write the question. So, question 1. Harry Limited, page 22, textbook. Okay, so you can make 2 columns also. Now, this is just something which is coming in my mind. So, on the last page of your notebook, okay, I'll just give it to you. So, we can write what you need to study one day before the exam. This will save a lot of time. So, you will write, you will divide the page into 2 parts, okay, like this. This is the last page of your notebook. So, write the important questions before exam. You will not be able to go through all the compiler questions also. So you need to mark the questions. So here you can write from the textbook. And these are the questions that you need to go through from the compiler. Okay. So from the textbook, question 1 and write Harry Limited, so that it's a hint. Page 22. Okay. So write something like this, so that a list is ready. Make this on the last page of your notebook. So on the last page of your notebook, you will prepare this list of important questions and you will go through only these questions before the exam. Okay, so Harry Limited, page 22. All right. So a company is registered in Thailand. Now, how to be ready with the answer immediately after reading the question. Now, I will teach you how to find the hint in the question itself. Harry Limited is a company which is incorporated. It is registered in Thailand. Okay, it is incorporated outside India. First point is met. It has no place in business in India, but it is doing online business through telemarketing in India. It is having business in India. Okay, it is present through electronic mode. Immediately, Rule 2 of Specification of Definition Details 2014, electronic mode. Okay. Now, this answer is framing in my mind. Main server for online business is outside India. We are not concerned where the main server is located. But this is an important point. Because, sometimes we may get confused. Okay, main server is outside India. What should we do? We are not concerned where the main server is located. Okay. So, it is registered in Thailand, incorporated outside India, but having a place of business in India. We are not concerned whether the server is located in India or outside India. These are 3 points which indicate that we need to write the answer and we need to mention these points over there. Okay. So now it is incorporated outside India but having a place of business in India. It is present electronically, telemarketing. Yes, it is a foreign company. Okay. So state see what have they asked you? State the status of the company. So what is the meaning of the word status? It is very important for you to know what they have asked in the question. Status of the company. Whether it is a domestic company, foreign company, what is the status of the company? So see how we start framing the answer while reading the question itself. So what is the status of the company? Now, we know it is a foreign company, but we need to frame the answer. No? Section 2, clause 42. I had mentioned that you need to learn the section number. So this will give you half mark. As per section 2, clause 42. Foreign company means a company or a body corporate. See, now these are the keywords. Automatically my mind starts recollecting the keywords and we start identifying with it. It is a company or a body corporate incorporated outside India. It has a place of business in India, whether by itself or through agent. It may be present physically or through electronic mode. And I had highlighted the word and it conducts any business activity in India in any other manner. Now, what is mentioned in Rule 2? Do I need to memorize this? Yes. Rule 2 of Companies Specification of Definition Detail Rules 2014. You need to learn this. So as per Rule 2 of the Companies Specification of Definition Detail Rules 2014, every section will have at least one rule. Sorry, every chapter will have at least one rule. So the term electronic mode is, now let us highlight the key points over here. Now Rule 2 of the Company Specification of Definition Detail Rule 2014 explains the meaning of the term electronic mode. It means carrying out electronically based, highlight this, whether main server is installed in India or not. Sometimes the question tries to confuse us. Server is outside India. So incorporation outside India, server is also outside India. How does it matter whether it is doing business in India? It's not a foreign company. No, we will not get confused. Company is a foreign company if it is incorporated outside India and doing business in India, whether the server is located in India or not, we are not concerned. So even if the server is located outside India, it can still be a foreign company. It includes, but it is not limited to. Go for the meaning of these words. It includes, but it is not limited to. It means it includes this. But it does not mean that only this is considered as electronic mode. No. Electronic mode, the word, the term includes this. But it is not limited to the list. You can have any other way of being present electronically. Now, what is the mnemonic that I have prepared? BDQ. B means business to business, business to consumer. 3 Ds. Data interchange, digital supply transaction, accepting or inviting deposit. Okay. So B2B, B2C, data interchange, digital supply transaction and deposits. FAD, FAD M. Okay, FAD M. F stands for financial settlements, A stands for advisory, and D stands for database services. I know I have left out web-based marketing, but everything can't be in the mnemonic. So financial settlements, web-based marketing, let's highlight whatever it is asked. Web-based marketing, advisory, database services, and M stands for supply chain management. Telemarketing, telecommuting, telemedicine, education, information, data-related communication service. So you may be present through social media. If you want, you can write that also over here. Social media. So this will help you to know whether you are by email, mobile device, social media, cloud computing. This is frequently asked in the exam. Cloud computing, document management, voice data transmission, otherwise. Ma'am, do we need to learn each and everything like this? Yes, because they will just give you in the question telemarketing. That's just one of the words used over here. You need to identify whether it is in electronic mode or not. Similarly, they will give you data transmission. So yes, that is also covered under Rule 2. So business to business, business to consumer, data interchange, other digital supply transaction, deposit, financial settlement, web-based marketing. advisory, transactional services, database services, telemarketing, telecommuting, telemedicine, education, email, social media, mobile device, cloud computing. So these are the keywords that I need to remember. The answer is actually in just one sentence, that it is telemarketing. So that is also electronic mode. It is doing online business. Even though it does not have any other established business in India, it will still be considered as a foreign company. So what is my answer? It will be treated as a foreign company within the meaning of Section 2, Clause 42. Ma'am, is it compulsory to write this? What if we forget to write? That's okay. But you need to, what have they asked in the question? What is the status of the company? Status is that it is a foreign company. That needs to be answered in the end. Okay. So that was about foreign company. Next, we have holding and subsidiary company. I have a small note for it. First, let us understand the note. Then you can pause the video and copy this in your notebook. But first, understand what you're writing. Holding and subsidiary, it is some concept which you are already aware of. The Act does not define a holding company properly. It only says that I am a holding company if you are my subsidiary. So I need to know what is a subsidiary company. I have classified subsidiary as S and holding I have mentioned as H. Okay. Holding is defined under Section 2, Clause 46. Subsidiary under Section 2, Clause 87. Is it important for exam? Yes. Section 2, Clause 46. Section 2, Clause 87. I am a holding company if you are my subsidiary. Okay. So I need to know when a company is considered as a subsidiary company. I am a subsidiary if the holding exercises or controls more than half. It means exact 50% will not make me a subsidiary. More than 50% will make me a subsidiary. So exact 50% is not a subsidiary. Okay. Exercises or controls more than half. Half means 50%. So H controls or exercises control on more than half of the total voting power. It is not share capital because in the meetings, decision depends upon the voting power. Okay. So I control more than half of the total voting power. Now, sometimes, institute forgets that they have changed it to voting power. So what should be considered if they have given shares? You will consider equity and convertible preference share capital. Because convertible preference share capital is treated just like equity, having voting power. Anyways, this will be converted into equity some or the other day. So it is considered just like equity. So H either exercises or controls more than half of the total voting power. Okay, this is important. Voting power. Either on its own. Either on its own means H on its own owns 60% in S. Okay, H on his own owns 60%. H is the holding, S is the subsidiary. Or I hold that more than 50% together with one or more subsidiaries. H owns 30% in S1. S owns 40%. Together, they own 70%. S1 is the subsidiary of H. H owns 60% in S. S owns 70% in S1. Indirectly, S1 is the subsidiary of H. I control S and S controls S1. So indirectly, I can also control S1. S1 is the subsidiary of H. This is the ownership which makes me the holding. But sometimes I can also control the composition of the board of directors. Controlling the composition means I can either appoint or remove all or majority directors of S at my own discretion. I need not ask anyone about it. Now, how will one company get the control of the board of directors? See, maybe H has purchased so much capital, they have invested so much money that S says, now you control the board, you see how the board is managing your money. Or I may get this power to control the board because I have given a lot of loan. So H has given so much money to S that indirectly S has allowed H to control the board. See, you have given me so much loan. Now you decide how the board of directors will utilize that money. You control the board. You control how your money is utilized. So how will one company get the control of the composition of the board? Either it has given a lot of money in the form of capital or in the form of loan. And in return, they have got the right to control the composition of the. Okay, so please note this. Now you can pause the video and write. Done. Okay. So we have covered all this. I am a holding defined under section 2 clause 46. Company is a holding if that other company is a subsidiary. Section 2 clause 87 defines subsidiary. I am a subsidiary if the holding controls the composition of the board or exercises or controls more than one half, either on its own, okay, exercises or controls more than one half of the total voting power. This is one part. I will break the sentences so that it is easy for us to memorize. Either on its own or together with one or more of its subsidiaries. So H 60% S, H plus S 70% S1. Okay. Try to remember H controls S, S controls S1. Yes. So a company S1 shall be deemed to be the subsidiary of H even if the control is of another subsidiary S of the holding. Okay. So S1 is the subsidiary of H even if it is controlled by other subsidiary S. What is the meaning of controlling the composition of the board? If I can appoint or remove all or majority directors of S without the consent of any other person, that is at its discretion. These are the 4 keywords. I can either appoint or remove all or majority directors. So 4 words that you need to remember. The holding shall not have layers of subsidiaries beyond such number as may be prescribed. What is prescribed? 2. You cannot have more than 2 layers of subsidiaries. Ma'am, what is a layer? I have a diagram for that. H Limited has 3 subsidiaries. Pay attention, then you can copy. H has 3 subsidiaries. S1, S2, S3. S1 has 3 subsidiaries. S2 has 2. S3 has 4 subsidiaries. S5 has 1 subsidiary, S13. S10 has 2 subsidiaries and S11 has 1 subsidiary. Now, this forms 1 layer. Okay? This forms 1 layer. Now, extra point. Wholly owned subsidiary is not considered as a layer. Law says you can have only 2 layers. It means 1 layer and the second layer. That's it. You cannot go beyond that. You cannot go below that. So this third layer is not a valid subsidiary. Okay. Now the wholly owned subsidiary S3 is not considered as a layer. So for H, the first layer will contain, okay, what will the first layer contain? S1, S2, S9, 10, 11 and 12. This will be the first layer. Exclude this. This is not a layer. Okay. So first layer will have S1, S2, S9, 10, 11 and second layer will have S4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 14, 15, 16. This is the second layer. Okay. This is not allowed. Going beyond that is not allowed. Now, please also note, students, there is a restriction on the vertical proposition. Vertical means you cannot have more than 2 layers. See, this is vertical. There is a restriction on the vertical proposition. But there is no restriction on horizontal. Ma'am, what does it mean? It means in one layer, I can have any number of subsidiaries. 50, 100, doesn't matter. But the restriction applies to the vertical limit. Now, in the first layer, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 subsidiaries. That's okay. Second layer, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 subsidiaries. That is okay. There is no restriction on the number of subsidiaries in the horizontal propagation. But there is a restriction on the vertical proposition. It means I can have only 2 layers. That's it. 2 levels down. This is not allowed. All this will not be asked in your exam. It's just for your knowledge. Done? Okay. So you can write this. Write it. Pause the video. Okay. Shares held by a company or a power exercisable by another company in a fiduciary capacity will not be counted. Now, I am holding the securities just as a trustee. That doesn't mean that I will become the holding. It will be included in my shareholding. For example, Mr. X died. Mr. X died. His shares are now given to a trustee. Maybe, till the legal heir is found or the shares are transferred. It is given to H. H is, is it a holding company? Now, Mr. X, he was holding the shares of S Limited. I want to determine whether this is the holding of S Limited. So, should I include Mr. X's share also? No, ma'am. H Limited is holding those shares as a trustee. The shares actually belong to Mr. X and now his legal heir. So H Limited is holding the shares just as a trustee. It is in a fiduciary capacity. What is the meaning of the word fiduciary? Fiduciary means relation of trust and confidence. X has trust. That is why he allowed the shares to remain with H. So that doesn't mean that H has now become the holding of S. We will not include this while calculating the relationship. These shares are not considered as the shareholding of the trustee. Who is the trustee? H Limited. So we will not include the shares which are held in mere fiduciary capacity while determining the relation of holding and subsidiary. I repeat, we shall not include the shares held in fiduciary capacity while determining the relation of holding and subsidiary. So this will not be considered as holding of H Limited. Fiduciary means relation of trust, confidence, good faith. Hence, it shall be rationally incorrect to assume that the entity holding the share has the power to exercise influence as well. It is incorrect to assume that because I'm holding as a trustee, I can influence the decisions of S. This will not be considered while determining the associate company relation as well. Okay, you wanted to write this. Write it. Next. Associate company. Now, definition is very important. Concept is also important. Many students are not able to memorize the definition of associate company. They find it very difficult to learn it. Let's simplify it. Associate company, section 2, clause 6. Now, I have mentioned the sequence in which you need to read this chart, okay? See, this is the sequence. I'll read it first and then we will compare it with the definition. A company in which that other company has significant influence. Okay? Very simple. A company in which that other company has significant influence is associate, okay? Associate means a company in which that other company has significant influence. What is an associate company? A company in which that other company has significant influence. But it is not a subsidiary. However, it includes a joint venture company. So easy to learn now. Yes? Again, a company, what is an associate? Associate means a company in which that other company has significant influence, but it is not a subsidiary. However, it includes a joint venture company. Isn't it easy now? Yes? Now, what is significant influence? It means that company controls at least 20% of the total voting power. Here, exact 20% will make it an associate. Their exact 50% was not making it a subsidiary. Your exact 20% will make you an associate company. Let's read the definition. So significant influence means I control at least 20% of the total voting power, or I control or participate in the business decisions. A Limited, okay, is a company in which that other company has significant influence. So this is associate. But it is not a subsidiary because it is not holding more than 50%. Yes, you are absolutely right. So can I say anything between 20 to 50% will make me an associate? See, we had discussed exact 50% is not a subsidiary, but exact 50% may be an associate. So anywhere between 20 to 50%. More than 50% will be a subsidiary company. Okay. So what is the definition? A company in which the other company has significant influence, but it is not a subsidiary and it includes a joint venture company. The definition. Significant influence means I control at least 20% of the total voting power or control or participate in the business decision. Copy. Done. A company, let's highlight a company in which that other company has significant influence, but which is not a subsidiary company, and it includes a joint venture company. See how easy it is to learn the definition now. Significant influence means I control at least 20% of the total voting power or control of or participation in the business decision. Joint venture, no need to learn it. Here also, shares held in fiduciary capacity shall not be considered. Next, let us discuss the concept of a listed company. Ma'am, is it important for exam? It is very difficult to remember this. There was one main question which was asked in one of the RTVs. So, it may not be asked in the exam, but it is that question was framed. It was a very lengthy question, but it was a very simple question. It is there in my compiler also. Very lengthy, but very simple. Now, listed company and unlisted company. What is a listed company? Listed means it is listed on the stock exchange. Simple. What is listed? The securities are listed. So listed company means a company which has any. Now I have prepared notes to save time because I mentioned in my earlier lecture that I will try to cover everything. Now you must have noticed I have not left even a single section from my textbook. And my textbook covers everything from the module. So I will cover everything quickly so that whatever time we save, we will use it for question answer discussion, MCQ discussion. Listed company means a company which has any of its securities. Any means equity, preference, debt securities, any securities listed on recognized stock exchange. Highlight this also, listed on any recognized stock exchange. Ma'am, why do you underline by breaking it? See how I break it. Only then we will be able to, highlight those keywords and remember for exam. See what will happen if you underline like this. You will never be able to photograph those keywords. Now see this. Listed on any recognized stock exchange. Listed on any recognized stock exchange. Easy to remember. Yes or no? Okay. Now, just because any of your securities are listed on the stock exchange, you're a listed company, all the provisions of listed company shall apply to you. Ma'am, I have a problem. I am a private company. I cannot list my equity. I'm a private company. I have listed non-convertible debt securities. This is pure debt. It's not equity. It's pure debt. Ma'am, I am a private company. I have listed my non-convertible debt securities, which I have issued on private placement basis on recognized stock exchange in terms of SEBI. Now, according to this definition, listed company means a company which has any. It means that even if you have listed your non-convertible debt security, you are a listed company. All the provisions of listed company shall apply. Man, you're just a private company. All compliance of listed company will apply. It's unfair, no? Now, sometimes private companies, although they cannot list their equity, but they may list their debt securities. Why? For easy tradability, exit route to debt debenture holders, and it is for ease of doing business. Now, pay attention to one easy understanding. In case of a private company, I can transfer the securities only to known person because they are not listed. Okay. Now, what is the benefit of listing? They don't have to search for buyers. They come searching for those debt securities. Because the securities are listed on the exchange, say today I want to buy Asian Paint shares. I just open my mobile app. Okay. I buy Asian Paint 10 shares. I say buy. I swipe. Okay. In my app, I swipe buy. I put funds and I say buy. Now I want to buy at market price. When will the trade match? When will I get those shares? When somebody is selling at market price. So I bought, somebody sold. I don't know who sold. Our trades match, price match. I got his shares. So this is the advantage of listing the securities. I don't have to go in search of the buyer. Similarly, buyer does not have to go in search of the seller. So because the securities are listed, now everything on the app, trading is possible. Now, in case of a private company, the people who have given you loan and you have given them debentures, they want to exit. But it is so difficult to find buyers. See, if your securities are not listed, you will have to search someone who is interested in buying the securities of the private company. So it is very difficult to exit in that case. It is very difficult to trade. Then people may be hesitant. They will say, like, why should we purchase your debt securities? We can't even list and sell it. So for the ease of doing business, for the ease of trading, transferability, to give an exit route, that listen, everything is listed on the stock exchange. You will easily find buyers. If you want to exit, you will easily find someone who is ready to buy those debt. Come on, invest in my company. Yes. So for these reasons, they have listed their securities. Similarly, a public company which has not listed equity, they have not listed equity. Ma'am, is it okay? Yeah, you are an unlisted public company. You have not listed your equity. You have not listed your equity, but you have listed your non-convertible debt securities issued on private placement basis. These are my keywords. Yaar, exempt them, no. They have not listed their equity. Why are you considering them as listed company and applying all the provisions of listed company? It's so unfair, no? Give them some exemption, no, from these compliance requirements. Okay, so these are not considered as listed company. Okay, so what is not considered? I am a public company. I have not listed my equity. I have only listed my debt securities issued on private placement basis. I have not issued equity, but I have issued non-convertible, redeemable preference shares. Now see, these are non-convertible. They are going to be redeemed. It means under no circumstance they will be converted into equity. So they are non-convertible, redeemable preference shares issued on private placement basis, or maybe I have issued both. I am a private company. I have listed my non-convertible debt security issued on private placement basis. I'm not a listed company. Those compliance requirements cannot apply to me. I am a public company. I have not listed my equity, but I have listed my equity on a stock exchange in some foreign jurisdiction. So section 23 subsection 3 mentions class of public companies that can issue securities for listing on a recognized stock exchange in foreign jurisdiction. I don't have any securities listed in India, but I have it in foreign country. I'm still not considered as a listed company. Okay. See, on any recognized, no, they have mentioned. They have not mentioned in India. So I have listed, but in foreign exchange, foreign jurisdiction. You're not a listed company. As for that, you're not a listed company. So this is important and I have simplified that for you. Please pause the video and write this. Done. So students, I hope you are enjoying the lectures. Yes, please share it with your friends. You can purchase these lectures from my website, capreetyagarwal.com. I have put in a lot of effort in simplifying the provisions for you. So please don't ask me for free lectures. Whatever I'm charging is for the effort that I have put. Okay, it's just for my effort. Now, let us discuss Section 8 company. It is very, very, very important for exam, but you won't believe it. You won't believe it. I have summarized the entire Section 8 company in just one page. Just one page and the entire concept is covered here. Let's go through it. What is a Section 8 company? It's not a new concept for you. Yes, Section 8 company is a company which is basically incorporated for non-profit. Non-profit means it doesn't earn profit at all. No, it does earn profit. It's only that it does not distribute profit in the form of dividend, and it is not doing business with the aim of earning profit. It may earn profit, but it is not earning profit with the aim of earning profit. Aim is basically to clean the environment, uplift women, or do some business in the upliftment of the society, or art, science, commerce, education, etc. Charity, okay? Protection of environment. So this is a company which is incorporated for specified objects. It will apply the profit or income in promoting that object only. It prohibits the payment of dividend to members. Let us highlight the keywords. It prohibits. Okay, this is the keyword. So it is for specified objects. It will apply the profit and income, whatever it earns, for fulfilling that object, and it prohibits the payment of dividend to members. As a Section 8 company, I get many privileges because I am not doing business with the aim of earning profit. I get many privileges. That is why we got for a Section 8 company. Can I say, oh, I'm doing charity business, I should get all the privileges? No, you have to apply to the government. The government gives the approval in the form of a license. That is why these companies are also known as licensed companies. Because it is a company, it needs to be properly incorporated. What are the documents that I require? I need MOA, AOA, or maybe rules or bylaws. Anything which has the rules or bylaws. If you don't have an MOA, what is the name that you have given to that document? Any document with the rules or bylaws, which are considered the rules or bylaws of the company. Because it is a company, it will have limited liability. It can be incorporated either as a private company or a public company. It may have share capital. It may not have share capital. One privilege is given to these companies. You need not add the word limited or private limited to the name. By not adding the word limited or private limited, you are actually giving an impression to the outsider that you have unlimited liability. It's not fraud, okay? It's one of the privileges. Now, if I want to alter the memorandum or articles, I need the previous approval of central government. The power has been delegated to ROC. So easy to convert this into sentence form. So if I want to alter the memorandum and articles, I need the previous approval of the central government. The central government has delegated that power to the ROC. Okay. So what are the points that I have covered till now? What are the characteristics? That it is made for specified objects. It will apply the profit or income only in promoting that object. It prohibits the payment of dividend to members because I have to incorporate a company. It will have memorandum and articles, rules and bylaws, limited liability. It may be incorporated either as a private or a public company. It may have share capital. It may not have share capital. It need not add the word limited or private limited to the name. I can convert each and every bullet point into sentence format. Yes or no? So each and every point can be converted into a sentence. So up till now, if I want to write this answer, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points, 7 sentences already ready. Okay. 8. Now, if I want to alter the objects, why do I need the previous approval of the central government? Why? Company is acting very smart. The company is saying, let us first incorporate the company with the object of using the money for charity. Then we will alter the memorandum. Who is going to check later on? At the time of incorporation, we will get the status of Section 8 company. We will enjoy all the privileges. Later on, we will change the memorandum. Nothing doing. If you want to change the memorandum, then you need the previous approval of the central government. Central government has delegated this power to ROC. Okay. What if I want to convert a Section 8 company into any other type of company? Just pass a special resolution in general meeting. Ma'am, such a small point and you have written over here. Case-based questions are asked on this. Case-based questions are asked on. What if I want to convert a Section 8 company into any other type of company? Pass a special resolution in the general meeting. What if I fail to comply with any of these requirements? I started distributing profit in the form of dividend. Okay. What if I altered the memorandum without the approval of ROC? Then in that case, the central government power has been delegated to regional director. They will revoke the license. If the permission to operate as a Section 8 company was given through this license, they will revoke the license. ROC will immediately put the word limited or private limited to the name and they will take away all our privileges. If at the time of revocation, central government feels that it is essential in public interest, they may direct the company to be either wound up. So they will say, I am revoking your license. If they feel that it is not in public interest, we can ask the company to wind up. We will revoke the license and wind up the company. Or we will ask them to be amalgamated with any other Section 8 company having similar objects. I cannot be amalgamated with any company which does not have similar objects. So if I am in charity, I will be amalgamated with another Section 8 company who is into charity. If I am into protection of environment, I will be amalgamated with any Section 8 company which has the same object. Okay. So if at the time of revocation, the central government feels it is essential in public interest, They will direct the company to be either wound up or amalgamated with any other Section 8 company having similar objects. Please learn as it is. What if I want to wind up or dissolve the company, or if the company is wound up here? Okay, then what will happen? See, at the time of winding up, you will sell the assets, pay off the liabilities, and there is some surplus. Can we distribute it as dividend? No, no, no. It is prohibited. So, ma'am, does it mean that you cannot distribute dividend even at the time of winding up? Yes. Dividend can be given neither at the time of during the lifetime nor at the time of winding up. It means मैं कभी भी dividend दे ही नहीं सकती. I can never distribute profit. Okay? So what if there is some surplus assets? Can I distribute it? No, that will amount to dividend. You cannot do that. What can I do? I can transfer it to another Section 8 company with similar objects, or I can sell the assets and transfer the proceeds to Insolvency and Bankruptcy Fund under Section 224 of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2006. What if I sold the assets, I paid off the liability, but I have surplus assets? Sell those assets, transfer the proceeds to Insolvency and Bankruptcy Fund under Section 224 of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. Okay. So surplus assets will either be transferred, assets will be transferred to another Section 8 company. I can give them, take my machinery, take these assets. I can transfer the asset, or I can sell the assets and pay the money in this fund. Got it? So copy this. Done? Okay. We have covered everything from the note. So, 3 things to remember. It is formed for the purpose of promoting art, science, commerce, culture, education, etc. It intends to apply the income for promotion of the object. It prohibits the dividend. You can give the dividend neither at the time of winding up nor during the lifetime. You can never distribute profits. It will amount to giving dividend. The permission is given in the form of license. You need not add the word limited or private limited to the name. You may be either private company, public company, may have share capital, may not have share capital. OPC cannot be either incorporated or converted into Section 8 company. We had discussed this. You need to have a memorandum and articles, rules, bylaws. It was covered. Then you cannot alter the provisions except with the approval of central government. It was covered. You can convert itself into any other kind of company by passing a special resolution at a general meeting. Covered. On violation of the terms without the approval of the central government, or where affairs are conducted in fraudulent manner, the central government, the power has been delegated to regional director. They will revoke the license. RSC will add the word limited or private limited to the name. If at the time of revoking the license, central government is satisfied that it is essential public interest, the company may be either wound up or it may be amalgamated with any other company registered under this section having similar objects. Okay, it will be wound up or it will be amalgamated with another company registered under this section, that is Section 8 company having similar objects. You cannot amalgamate with a company not having similar objects. Before revocation, we will give them a reasonable opportunity of being heard. On the winding up, if we find that there are some surplus assets, then that surplus may be transferred to another Section 8 company having similar objects, or you can sell the assets. Okay, the assets may be sold and the proceeds may be transferred to IBC fund, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Fund under Section 224 of the Insolvency Bankruptcy Code. You can amalgamate only with another Section 8 company having similar object. Tired. Okay. Privileges of a Section 8 company. Yes, I have highlighted the privilege As a Section 8 company, I need not add the words limited or private limited to the name. I can call my general meeting by giving just 14 days notice instead of 21 days notice, which is required. Minimum number of directors and independent directors. This does not apply to a Section 8 company. Minimum paid up capital will not apply, providing it does not default in filing the financial statements or annual return. It need not constitute a nomination and remuneration and relationship shareholder relationship company. Partnership firm can become a member of licensed company. Partnership is not a separate person in the eyes of law. Partnership firm cannot purchase shares, but they can purchase shares of a Section 8 company. It's a privilege. Generally, partners purchase, but here we are allowing the firm to purchase. The privilege can be asked as a theory question. I have highlighted the keyword. The last concept of today's lecture, small company. Yes, what is a small company? It's a small-sized private company. Now, do I have to apply separately? No. If you are within this limit, you are automatically a small company. Okay. What else? Now, let's say there's a company which has paid up capital and turnover less than what is given here. But you say that no, nothing doing. It doesn't matter if you are a very small sized company. You are a company, no? All provisions will apply. All compliances are compulsory. Sir, I have only 10 lakh paid up capital. I have only 50 lakh turnover. But you are asking me to comply with all the compliances. Sir, please. I want to do business. I don't want to be busy with these compliances. Okay. We'll offer some relaxations. Give them status of small company. So because we wanted to give them certain relaxations from the compliances, we have classified them as small company. Now, there was, I don't know why, but many students write 4 crore and 40 crore here. Even institute, even ICAI in their model answer for MTPs have written 4 crore and 40 crore over here. But there was no change in the definition. The limits were prescribed in the rule. I don't know why they don't follow it. Anyways, this is how you will write it. Okay, now what do you need to learn? Learn everything. Learn everything. Learn as it is. Now, another mistake which students make. They don't write this. My dear students, this is a part of the definition. You have to write it. Small company means a company. Please note, other than public company. Maximum time students make mistake over here. A Limited has paid up share capital 2 crore. Turnover and this is dual requirement and turnover 10 crore. Is it a small company? Yes, it is small company. No. It's limited. First thing, check the name. Okay. Step number 1. Right over here. Step 1. Check whether company is a private company. Step 2. Check paid up share capital and turnover. Paid up share capital should be less than or equal to 4 crores and 40 crore. Only then it is a small company. Okay. So there was actually no change in the definition. Whatever was prescribed is 4 crore and 40 crore. Now, while writing the definition, you will write it as it is. Then you will write a note that the prescribed paid up capital is 4 crore, prescribed turnover. See, they have written a company whose paid up capital does not exceed 50 lakh or such higher amount as may be prescribed. So yes, they have prescribed higher amount, 4 crore. But this was in the rules, okay? Change was made in the rules. Man, we don't remember all these things. We are not able to learn it. Okay. Right, paid up capital does not exceed 4 crore. Happy? ICA has also written that in MTP, so they should accept it. So paid up capital does not exceed 4 crore. Turnover does not exceed 40 crore. Both, it's a dual requirement. And, highlight and. But it does not apply to holding subsidiary company. Now, H Limited and S Limited. S Limited has paid up share capital less than 4 crore, turnover less than 40 crore. Sorry. S Private Limited. Sorry, you are still not a small company because you're subsidiary. So holding or subsidiary cannot get the status of small company. You are a holding company, subsidiary company. You're not a small company. You're not small sized. Section 8. Anyways, you have so many privileges. Don't be greedy and take the privilege of small company also. Company or body corporate governed by special act. You are not governed by Companies Act. Why should we give you this privilege? So this is the definition of a small company. Step number 1, check the name of the company. Check whether it is a private company. Step 2, check the turnover and. Paid up share capital and turnover. Dual required. Please don't forget to write the exception. It forms part of the definition. Okay. So with this, we also come to an end of your chapter. There is a small note which I have written. These are the relaxations available to small company. Maybe asked as a short note. I don't want to leave anything. Financial statements may not include cash flow. It is sufficient if only one board meeting is carried out each half. Gap should be at least 90 days. We had studied this. It was also applicable to OPC. Merger amalgamation is now simplified. No need to go to the board, go through the court process. Pause the video. Write this. Done. Okay. So students, with this, we come to an end of the chapter types of companies in my next session. Before I begin with this, we will discuss the important questions from my compiler. You can purchase the compiler separately from my website, capreetyagarwal.com. Fast track lectures are also available on my website, capreetyagarwal.com. If you have liked this video, give a quick thumbs up and do visit my website, capreetyagarwal.com. Tell your friends also about it. Support me, show a like. Don't ask for free lectures. Pay me for my effort. Okay? So bye-bye. I will see you in my next session where we discuss the compiler questions which are important for exam.